Mr. Cruz? Mr. Cruz, come out of the closet.
Two things have always been South Park's bread and butter: satirizing current events and roasting celebrities. When it comes to the latter, which celebrities got it easy and which ones got the worst of it? I'm Keith Finosi with Wicked Binge, and this is South Park Celebrity Roasts, funny to ruthless. Now, of course, we can't list every single celebrity South Park's made fun of, so we're just going to include the ones that stuck with us the most. We'll also be avoiding politicians, with one special exception. You'll thank us later. We're starting out with a celebrity whose appearance we wouldn't even call a roast, but it's very much worth mentioning, and that's Cesar Millan. By far the show's most wholesome and inoffensive celebrity cameo. The dog whisperer himself is hired by Leanne to help improve Cartman's behavior after all the various nannies got scared off by him. His techniques shockingly work as he treats Cartman as if he's a dog.
I'm not being aggressive, I'm being Dominic.
Milan is one of, if not the only person to actually control Cartman, and that says a lot. Milan in real life reacted to his portrayal on his YouTube channel and loved it, saying it was accurate. The fact that he's not exaggerated nor stereotyped in any way just shows the respect Trey and Matt must have for the guy. But don't expect him to go that easy going forward. Taking our next spot is Lord. While not portrayed straightforwardly, Lord is instead done so in the form of being an alter ego of Randy. It turns out that between lunch breaks at work, Randy goes into the women's bathroom and eventually discovers himself sounding good when he sings.
I pretended to be a woman. I called myself Lord.
Accidentally becoming a pop singer because of this. He becomes marketed as a 17-year-old girl from New Zealand and auto-tunes his voice to make himself sound female. He later joins the female pop stars for a concert, and when he sings using his real voice, he's booed off the stage by his young fans. Lord in real life reacted to Randy's stunt positively, going so far as to imitate Randy imitating her song. A very bizarre roast that's become an instant classic. This too was pretty innocent, giving it a perfect spot here. Some may find a grown man role-playing as a female teenage pop star appalling, but it's not as appalling as what Christopher Reeve does in his appearance. After an incident which caused the actor to become quadriplegic almost a decade earlier, Reeve appears on Larry King to promote stem cell research, claiming it's helping him regain movement.
I am a strong supporter of stem cell research.
He's seen sucking the fluids out of fetuses, and with everyone he sucks dry, his condition improves. After regaining use of his limbs, he gains superhuman powers in reference to how he played Superman. However, he becomes a bad guy and forms the Legion of Doom to stop Gene Hackman, who played Lex Luthor, from helping pass a law to ban stem cell research. When stem cell research is banned, he gets imprisoned in a dimensional phantom zone, similar to the ending of Superman 2. A good balance of funny and gross while also paying homage to Reeves' career. This perfectly encapsulates South Park's strong points when roasting celebrities. From superheroes to epic fantasy, we next have George R.R. Martin. Cartman sends Butters and Scott Malkinson to Martin's house to seek out the outcome of Game of Thrones. However, instead of telling the two anything useful, he talks to the two about his obsession with wieners, which may be a reference to all the nudity in Game of Thrones.
And he dangles it around for all his men to see.
As a matter of fact, it is. He's so obsessed that he has phallic-shaped objects all throughout his house and conducts an entire choir to sing about wieners. Martin in real life would later speak about his portrayal, noting that he's always been a booby guy. Not the greatest roast, but a fun one nonetheless. But want to know one that wasn't fun at all? Britney Spears. As a parody of Britney's constant publicity at the time, the singer was portrayed on South Park, attempting to hide from the limelight by taking refuge in the small mountain town. After the boys find her and try to capitalize off of her, she's pushed over the edge and shoots herself in the head with a shotgun, but she survives and is left with only the bottom half of her head intact. Despite this, she's forced to make another record and perform at the MTV Music Awards. Being so concerned for her, Kyle and Stan try to take her to the North Pole to get her away from everything, but they're caught and chased into an empty field. Having used the media to push her over the edge, the people use Britney as a sacrifice for a good corn harvest, taking pictures of her until she finally dies. While this roast was more sad than it was funny, it made for a good commentary on the harsh reality of the stress constant publicity can cause. Speaking of, some say negative publicity is good publicity, as is the case with Jared Fogle. While he was still the spokesman for Subway, Jared claimed that he went on a diet and lost weight by only eating Subway sandwiches, but hid from the public that he actually used a personal trainer and a dietitian. Calling them his aides, he tells the entire town to get some of their own, but thinking he means the disease, he gets fired from Subway.
You should all go out and get AIDS!
Years later, when Jared's predatory behavior caused him to get fired from Subway in real life, among other things, his animated self returned, chasing Syrian refugee children, and also appeared as a boss in The Fractured But Whole. While not as ruthless as other roasts going forward, the fact that South Park went for Jared the two major times he came into the spotlight perfectly shows how opportunistic Trey and Matt are. Predators like Jared deserve a good beatdown, and someone like Russell Crowe would be perfect for the job. Crowe is portrayed as a Popeye Lalic sailor in a kids show called Russell Crowe Fighting Around the World, where he, as if the title wasn't obvious, travels around the world and picks fights with random people. He also has a tugboat sidekick named Tugger, who attempts to kill itself because Crowe's singing is so awful. His portrayal here is likely a reference to an argument he got into with the producer after his acceptance speech at the BAFTAs got cut off, which happened a few months before the episode aired. Crowe in real life had one of the most unique celebrity responses to a South Park portrayal, using it as a means to learn from it and reflect upon his life, as he said in an interview.
I did think my whole career was a struggle, you know?
The roast may have been straightforward, but the fact that it's done via a show within a show just makes it all the more funny. From flamboyantly tough to flamboyantly ugly, Sarah Jessica Parker is next. Parker is a key component in the boys' book, The Tale of Scrody McBoogerballs, with the mentioning of her ugly appearance being one of the things that make people throw up while reading it. Of course, this extends to her portrayal in the episode, where not only is she as ugly as the book allegedly says, but she also seems to not be all there, with her never speaking and often in the background just doing her own thing. The boys, furious that Butters took credit for their book, attempts to get it banned by the school board to no avail. However, they dress Parker as a moose in the woods, hoping she'll get killed so they can claim that Butters' book provoked the murder. When she's found dead, Butters isn't affected by it, saying, "At least she was ugly."
Oh well, at least she was ugly.
While Sarah Jessica Parker isn't in much of the episode, her unappealing appearance, doubled with the fact that her description in the book is so gross we never hear it, is absolutely savage. Buckle up, buckaroos, because next is Caitlyn Jenner. The Olympic gold medalist made the news after transitioning to a woman, so South Park naturally had to have their say on the matter by having PC principal reprimand Kyle for not calling her a hero.
I don't think Caitlyn Jenner is a hero.
Jenner later makes a physical appearance in the show, becoming Mr. Garrison's running mate in the 2016 election and eventually his vice president. She's portrayed with deformed facial features, a rather unflattering reference to her facial surgery, and a running gag involves her running over a person every time she drives, in reference to a fatal car accident she was involved in. Why Jenner of all people became Garrison's VP, we'll never know, but it's the absurdness of it all that makes it funny. Facial surgery is a feature that carries over to our next celebrity, Michael Jackson. After years of being chased down by the cops, MJ settles down in South Park with his son Blanket under the name Michael Jefferson, and doesn't bother to look different other than sporting a fake mustache. Instead of taking care of his son, he goes about playing with kids' toys, acting childish, and never wanting to grow up.
Ooh, let's go ride the choo-choo train.
When the boys try to get Blanket out of the house, MJ's face starts to melt, becoming zombie-like as a parody of the real-life pop singer's many plastic surgeries. After his death, MJ appeared once again where he refused to accept the fact that he was dead and possessed Ike, returning to purgatory after participating in a girls' talent show and getting his wish to be a kid again. Jackson's exaggerated voice is enough to get us laughing, and hearing Trey perfectly emulate his singing voice to a T is nothing short of impressive. And if you don't like it,
That's ignorant. You're being ignorant.
if you thought MJ got roasted hard, frankly that's nothing compared to fellow singer Bono. After Randy took the record of taking the world's biggest crap, the YouTube lead singer became livid as he was the previous record holder and proceeded to beat out Randy with a new biggest crap. Bono shows that he despises being number 2 and attacks Stan, saying that Randy will die if he takes a bigger crap than him. It's later revealed that Bono was not the record holder, but was the record itself, meaning that he is a piece of crap, specifically the biggest piece of crap.
It's not true! Kill that kid!
Trained Matt explained in the episode's DVD commentary that the episode was an homage to The King of Kong, a documentary about breaking the world record in Donkey Kong. How that led to Bono and crap will forever be a mystery to me, but as it stands, this roast is a pretty iconic one. Speaking of iconic, no two directors are arguably more so than Steven Spielberg and George Lucas. As a commentary on the release of the highly criticized Star Wars and E.T. remastered editions with their polarizing changes, Spielberg and Lucas are seen preparing to remaster Raiders of the Lost Ark next. When it's screened, everyone's heads explode because of how terrible it was. Despite the two directors seemingly dying, they later come back when Kingdom of the Crystal Skull comes out, and the boys are horrified by it, recollecting it as a bunch of scenes of Indiana Jones getting violently violated by the duo. We know this was supposed to be a commentary on how some film franchises hadn't been coming out with great titles at the time, but man, those scenes were dark even by South Park standards. Many movie fans can relate to the message being conveyed by these two roasts of the directors, and are done so perfectly. Coming up next, Rob Schneider is in a Wicked Binge video, rated PG-13. In one of the most beloved and memed celebrity roasts, Schneider is seen in several movie trailers where he acts in random roles like a stapler and a carrot, and most hilariously in a trailer that's just a bunch of gibberish. He later finds and eats the pot roast containing Kenny's soul, and stars in a trailer where he is Kenny, and of course dies. What makes these so memorable is the absurd situations Schneider's put in and the tone of the announcer's voice.
Being a stapler. is harder than it looks.
Unfortunately, Schneider in real life thought his depiction trivialized his career, according to Matt in a DVD commentary. In any case, this roast graced us with an iconic meme. Another roast that led to some quotable lines was that of Jennifer Lopez. The singer and actress is portrayed as violent and egotistical, sporting a short temper. She's fired once they find a new Jennifer Lopez, who's really just Cartman's hand puppet, with Cartman's hand stealing Lopez's life and career to the point of even dating Ben Affleck. The real Lopez becomes furious and attempts to murder the hand, who's later revealed to be a con artist named Mitch Connor. After being arrested, Lopez ends up working at a taco place upon a release. What makes this roast funny is not so much Lopez herself, but Cartman's iconic imitation of her, with the high-pitched voice and exaggerated accent, making this one yet another certified classic. Quite an underrated roast is that of Phil Collins. The singer is portrayed as mean and manipulative, successfully convincing Skylar to break up his band when he tells him Timmy's stealing the limelight away from him. This is in revenge for the band becoming more popular than him, resulting in Collins having to open for them at a concert instead of vice versa. He's also shown constantly holding an Oscar, which is trained Matt's jab at him for winning Best Original Song for You'll Be in My Heart over Blame Canada. To further drive home their message, Collins even sings a parody of his song at the concert, to which he sounds awful to the kids after they're taken off Ritalin. While this roast likely wouldn't be as funny without context, once you learn the background surrounding it, that would probably give you much more of an appreciation for it. If you thought trained Matt's jab at Phil Collins was savage, that's nothing compared to their jab at John Edward. While Kenny's soul is still trapped inside Cartman, he's taken to New York in hopes that Edward's ability to speak to the dead will get Kenny out of him. Everyone soon realizes that his supposed gift is just a means to drag in viewers. Kyle, however, believes that Edward spoke to his grandmother, which causes him to suddenly join a special school for Jewish kids. Stan comes to Edward in hopes that he'll tell Kyle that he's a fake, but he refuses, causing Stan to tell him that he will nominate him for biggest douche in the universe.
I'm not a douche. What if I really believe dead people talk to me?
Stan then uses the same tricks used by Edward in front of an audience, telling them that they're not real, while the audience is convinced that Stan is a real psychic. After a psychic showdown between Edward and Stan, the former gets dragged into an alien ship where he's taken off to be given the biggest douche in the universe award. The roast was a pretty damning accusation on Train Matt's end, and that was a clever way to say that not all TV personalities are what they seem. And that's true. Speaking of TV personalities, Oprah Winfrey is next. When Towelie writes his autobiography, he goes on Oprah's show to promote it under an alias, and it becomes Oprah's Book of the Month. Now, it's not Oprah's looks nor personality that's the driving force of her roast. It's her, how can we say this in an advertiser-friendly way? Her nether regions named Minji and Gary.
But Oprah's always busy, working and working.
Yes, you heard that correctly. They have names. Because of how busy she is, the two complain about how little attention they get and decide to call Geraldo Rivera to tell him that Oprah gave the award to a towel instead of a person. That way, all the negative attention will lead to her losing her job, getting them much more attention from her. Oh god. After Geraldo reveals everything to Larry King, Towelie goes back on Oprah, and after explaining himself, she becomes furious and orders her audience to lynch him. With Minji and Gary's plan foiled, they somehow bring out a gun and take hostages, which ends in the two dying. By far the grossest roast on our list, coming from an episode that's considered one of the worst. It really isn't that funny, but it's definitely ruthless to our eyes, at least. Another pretty ruthless one was that of Sally Struthers. This All in the Family star is initially shown in a commercial for a charity organization about adopting starving children in Africa, where she's portrayed as very obese. If that weren't enough, when Cartman is in Ethiopia, he finds Struthers hoarding all the food, which could have gone to the starving people the whole time.
No! You can't have any!
Later, she's depicted in an even more unflattering manner, where she looks and speaks like Jabba the Hutt, working for the CIA for control of the planet Markle. Struthers in real life was said to be a fan of South Park until she saw her portrayal, which she got offended by, and we would probably share that same sentiment if we were in her shoes, but hey, that's how you know the roast was effective. Sure, Sally the Hutt spoiled herself with all that food, but she was nowhere near as spoiled as Paris Hilton. The socialite and model comes to South Park to open up her stupid spoiled horror store in the mall and promote its accompanying playset. Hilton is portrayed as being thin, scantily clad, tanned, and having messed up eyes. She's also spoiled and insufferable, throwing tantrums to get what she wants, including Butters as a new pet after previous ones killed themselves.
Look at his little puffball!
She also challenges Mr. Slave to a competition to see who is the bigger whore. Hilton in real life said that she was flattered by her portrayal despite never actually seeing the episode. This one was pretty scathing with how loud and disgusting she was, so maybe it was a good thing she didn't see her appearance here. From one ugly portrayal of a rich girl to another, next we have Snooki. When the Jerseyites invade South Park, among them is one of the most famous Jersey Shore stars, Snooki. Portrayed as a sort of rat-kangaroo hybrid with large breasts, she's spotted in the bar at night and causes chaos, fleeing when Jimbo fires his shotgun. She later terrorizes and sexually violates the boys and flees once Kyle's Jersey side comes out. While a fairly brief one, this was another scathing roast, seeing a celebrity from a bottom-of-the-barrel reality show being shown as subhuman. And nothing says subhuman quite like an actual terrorist, and Osama Bin Laden is no exception. The Al-Qaeda leader was ripe for the picking after the 9/11 attacks, and his debut episode aired only less than 2 months after the event. When the boys go to Afghanistan to bring back a goat sent to them by their Afghan counterparts, they get captured by terrorists led by Bin Laden. He's portrayed as a skinny guy with a funny walk, speaking mostly in gibberish. After the boys are freed, Cartman humiliates Bin Laden in a drawn-out Bugs Bunny-esque routine, after which he's shot and killed once he's down. Despite being executed, he appears later with the rest of Al-Qaeda to help rescue South Park from the Jerseyites, and is shot and killed once again after being congratulated by the town. Funnily enough, the real-life Bin Laden was killed 7 months after the latter episode aired. This was one roast America kind of needed after one of the most devastating times in recent history, and we commend South Park for being so bold in bringing us this one. Bin Laden wasn't the only celebrity on South Park to get the Looney Tunes treatment. Mel Gibson also did. After seeing The Passion of the Christ, Stan and Kenny hated it so much they demanded a refund, and after the ticket guy wouldn't give them their money back, the two go to Gibson's house to get the refund. It turns out that Gibson is a religious fanatic that's obsessed with people torturing him, and strips down to his underwear and acts like Daffy Duck when the two refuse to do so. While Stan and Kenny get their money back by getting it out of Gibson's wallet, he chases them back to South Park in a truck where Cartman has attempted to revive the Nazis under the guise of a Mel Gibson fan club. Gibson is one of the most interesting celebrity roasts because he's one of the few that has a real actor's face as their head. Being as iconic as it is insane, this roast was certainly an interesting commentary on a super polarizing film. You all probably saw this one coming at some point, but now we have Barbra Streisand. Trey and Matt have been extremely vocal about their hatred of Barbra Streisand, so naturally her depiction in South Park was ruthless. In her first appearance, she was depicted as being unattractive with a large nose and a double chin. It's also shown that she has a terrible singing voice which she uses to torture the boys, but what she's best known for is when exposed to the Diamond of Pantheos, she transforms into the kaiju beast Mecha Streisand and attempts to destroy the town not once but twice. Also, throughout the early episodes, Streisand was frequently the butt of many jokes, most notably in Spooky Fish, where her image was used in the episode's Spooky Vision presentation. This should be more than enough to explain why this one is so high. From Spooky Fish to Gay Fish, Kanye West is next. West's first visit to South Park came when the fish sticks joke was making the rounds, and he started taking the joke personally, thinking that people were calling him specifically a gay fish.
Doctor, do I have gills?
This caused him to go on a violent rampage, punching a TV presenter, kidnapping and killing Carlos Mencia, and taking Cartman and Jimmy hostage. He later came to terms with the fact that he was, indeed, a gay fish, making a music video about it. In a later appearance, he tries to convince people that Kim Kardashian wasn't a hobbit, but repeatedly calls his fiancée to clarify things. Recently, Cartman's imaginary friend Cupid Me became Cupid Yee, who influences Cartman to spread the claim that Kyle runs Hollywood in an obvious parody of Kanye's anti-Semitic rants. The show even goes as far as to show Cartman being interviewed on a news program referencing Kanye's now infamous interview with Alex Jones, complete with the mask covering his face. Kanye West in real life is aware of his portrayal, and he hasn't seemed to take it personally, as in his song Gorgeous, he included the lyric, "Choke a South Park rider with a fish stick." Pretty brutal, Kanye. We now begin the top 5 with Rob Reiner. The director and All in the Family star is brought to South Park to help stop the tobacco company after the boys were caught smoking. Reiner's portrayed as a fat slob constantly eating junk food and sweets, making him a hypocrite as his lifestyle is just as deadly as smoking, yet he's not willing to stop. He also hires Cartman to be in a commercial where he says he'll die from cancer caused by secondhand smoke, and one of his henchmen offers him a poisonous cupcake to kill him and make the commercial feel more real. Not only is this doubling down on Reiner's hypocrisy, but it's also a commentary on how some activists are willing to go to extreme lengths to get their point across. At the end of the episode, Cartman stabs Reiner with a fork, causing him to deflate and making disgusting green goo spill out of him. This Reiner is so gross, yet so funny, and so unlike the guy in real life that we can't help but just laugh. And now for the show's most recent celebrity roast, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. Although not mentioned by name, their appearance as the Prince and Princess of Canada is undoubtedly supposed to be them, if their looks weren't obvious. Their popularity in recent months is highlighted as Ike is seen obsessed with them, and the other side of the coin is shown with Kyle and Stan tired of seeing them everywhere. Stan even refers to them as some dumb prince and his stupid wife. The two go on a worldwide privacy tour where they travel to several different countries to protest about their desire for privacy.
We want privacy! We want privacy!
They eventually land in South Park, where they move into the house across from Kyle's. All this is a commentary on how Harry and Meghan retired from the royal family while going on a worldwide tour, eventually settling in Southern California, and later going on more publicity tours. The prince also promotes his memoir titled Wah! a spoof of Harry's actual memoir, Spare. Harry and Meghan were reportedly not happy about their portrayal, with Meghan in particular being upset and overwhelmed. There were even rumors of them suing, but those were proven to be false. With some people loving the royal family and others loathing them, who else was better to roast them than South Park? Excelsior! Our spot for the Bronze Medal of Ruthlessness goes to our sole politician, Al Gore. The former vice president is shown to be delusional, ego-driven, and obsessed with the creature Man-Bear Pig, saying that it's a threat to mankind, but no one ever takes him seriously. He also frequently dons a superhero cape and is so driven to defeat Man-Bear Pig that he went as far as to nuke Imagination Land.
It's Man-Bear Pig. I told you it was real!
Al Gore in real life is well known for his climate change advocacy, and Man-Bear Pig is an obvious stand-in for it. Man-Bear Pig was thought to be imaginary, with it being from Imagination Land backing this up. However, after it appears in a later episode out of the blue, the boys enlist Gore, who has since grown a large beard, for help, and apologize for doubting him. This was possibly Train Matt's way of saying that climate change is real after all. Surprisingly, Al Gore in real life has come out and said that he was impressed with his portrayal and liked his debut episode a lot. We're super serial about giving this the bronze because Gore's roast is simply South Park's social commentary at its finest, taking a real-world issue, exaggerating it, and not being afraid to ruffle some feathers. But how about taking a real-world issue and turning it into an entire character? Yes, getting the silver medal of Ruthless is Saddam Hussein. Easily the most prominent celebrity on the show, I guess you could call him that. Saddam was first shown in the Terrence and Phillips special taking over Canada and capturing Celine Dion. Despite not being a Canadian himself, he always appears with a flapping head and slim body in addition to his signature high-pitched voice.
Me? Hey, you need a rest, fella.
Also, like Mel Gibson, he has his real-life face plastered onto him. Saddam is one of Hell's most prominent residents, being in a romantic relationship with Satan, and to say that he is the dominant one would be an understatement. He tries to take over the world during the American-Canadian War in Bigger, Longer, and Uncut, and after dying again, later comes back to move in with Satan just to have his new boyfriend Chris get in the way. After constantly murdering Chris, Satan finally punishes Saddam, banishing him to heaven to live with the Mormons, where he suffers because he finds the Mormons' kindness insufferable. Saddam makes one final appearance controlling the Prime Minister of Canada in a Wizard of Oz parody, and when he's revealed to be the man behind the curtain, he's taken away by Canadian soldiers, mirroring Saddam's then recent capture in real life. Who doesn't love South Park's Saddam Hussein? He's just so cartoonishly evil that he's hard to not find funny. However, none of these celebrity roasts are as brutal as that of the recipient of the Gold Medal of Ruthlessness, Tom Cruise. After taking a Scientology personality test, Stan is told that he's the reincarnation of their founder, L. Ron Hubbard. This causes Tom Cruise to enter Stan's room to ask what he thinks of his acting.
Haven't you enjoyed my acting? Which film did you like best?
When Stan tells him his acting is just okay, Cruise is left in shambles, locking himself in Stan's closet and refusing to come out, in reference to rumors at the time saying that Cruise was gay. After Stan comes out and says that Scientology is one big scam, Cruise threatens to sue Stan because he made him look stupid. Tom Cruise would later return for the show's 200th episode where, after being made fun of for being a fudge packer, even though he's literally in a factory packing fudge, he gathers all the celebrities the town roasted and files a class action lawsuit against it. In reality, they want the town to hand over Muhammad, as his inner goo would make them immune to ridicule. After having some of the goo injected in him, Cruise gets a censor bar slapped onto him, but his plan fails after everyone makes fun of how Seaman jumped onto his back, because of the sheer fact that Train Matt ended up doubling down on the heavily litigious Cruise, even though there was the very real possibility of them getting sued, not to mention that it's risky to make fun of Scientology, shows how far they're willing to go to roast a celebrity. This display of sheer dedication to their craft is what easily earns Tom Cruise's roast the Gold Medal of Ruthless.